So you're excited, you just got news that you're going to have a baby, but you're planning to work throughout your pregnancy and just go on maternity leave and come back to work after that. But your employer has other plans. You tell your employer that you're pregnant, and all of a sudden, you feel like things are changing. You're starting to be treated negatively compared to your coworkers. Your employer may be saying negative things about your pregnancy or your maternity leave, insinuating maybe that you're not going to come back to work. And you feel like you're being harassed or discriminated against because of that pregnancy. Do you have any protections? If you want an answer to that question, make sure you continue to watch this video because we're going to talk about that. My name is Tracy and I'm an employment attorney with Lee's Law Firm. We practice employment discrimination law and represent employees that may have been discriminated against or harassed in the workplace. So we're talking about pregnancy discrimination, right? That is a real thing. There is a federal law under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that protects women who are pregnant from being discriminated against in the workplace because of their pregnancy. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act was an amendment to Title VII, and it specifically spoke to employers being prohibited from discriminating against a mother or soon-to-be mother because she is pregnant. Women have the right to work while they're pregnant, after they have the baby, and come back to work after maternity leave. And if your employer is discriminating against you or trying to interfere with that right, you do have rights under federal and state law in certain states, Texas being one of them. All right, so if you feel like you're being discriminated against because of your pregnancy, what should you do? You should definitely contact your manager or human resources. A lot of times your manager may be the person discriminating against you, and you obviously don't feel comfortable going to them to report discrimination. So you would go to your human resources representative or a manager above your manager. So maybe if your manager has a boss, you would go directly to that person and report that you feel like you're being discriminated against. Many women reveal their pregnancy. Obviously, at some point, you're going to be showing, but even before that, many women decide they want to tell their employer about their pregnancy because they're going to have doctor's appointments, and they just want to be upfront and forthcoming with the employer to let them know what's coming down the road. Obviously, you have to go out on leave for a certain period of time to have your baby, and many people just want to be upfront and honest. That doesn't always work in your favor, and that's very unfortunate and also could be against the law. So you do have rights. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act under federal law protects you if you feel like you're being discriminated against. Now, for the Pregnancy Discrimination Act under Title VII to apply, your employer does have to have at least 15 employees. So as long as your employer has at least 15 employees, then the Pregnancy Discrimination Act under Title VII does apply to them. If you feel like you're being discriminated against because of pregnancy, one of your options is to file an EEOC charge of discrimination with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is the government agency that investigates discrimination in the workplace. You can file your charge on your own without an attorney, but I will tell you it is very helpful to have an attorney in these situations because the attorney can make sure that all of the claims that you have are asserted and make sure that all the facts that go along with your discrimination case are included in your charge of discrimination. So, of course, it's your decision to make, but it's always helpful to have somebody who is qualified and experienced in employment discrimination to help you with that process. Now, employment discrimination has many different protected classes, pregnancy being one of them, meaning if you are pregnant, you are in a protected class that you should not be discriminated against, and there are certain laws to protect you. Disability discrimination is another protected class. So disability is another protected class. Now, pregnancy in and of itself is not considered a disability, but complications related to pregnancy can be considered a disability. For example, if you are considered high risk and you have certain pregnancy-related complications, maybe your doctor is saying at a certain trimester in your pregnancy that you will need to take breaks, to sit down. You may need to eat in certain intervals, these can be called reasonable accommodations. And if your pregnancy, let's say, inhibits your ability to walk or work, these can be qualified as disabilities because now your pregnancy is affecting major life activities such as walking, working, eating. Some people get really sick during their pregnancy and even have to be hospitalized for a period of time. So if those types of complications do occur, then your pregnancy can be seen as a disability. If your employer is able to accommodate you, so let's say your doctor says, because of her pregnancy and the related complications, Mary is not able to lift over 20 pounds. And this is a reasonable accommodation that she needs throughout the rest of her pregnancy. The doctor writes the note, you take the note to the employer. Your employer is obligated to engage in what's called an interactive process with you and see if they can accommodate that restriction. So in my example, Mary's doctor said she couldn't lift over 20 pounds for the remainder of her pregnancy. She takes that note to the employer, and the employer needs to see if they can accommodate that. Obviously, pregnancy doesn't last forever, so usually pregnancy reasonable accommodations are just that. They're reasonable. I just need a period of time where I can't do this particular task, or I might need a short period of time to take leave from work to go to certain doctor's appointments. Those requests are usually reasonable, and your employer has an obligation to, if they can, without what's called any undue hardship to the business, accommodate you. They should. So, like I said, you do have rights. Employer is not supposed to discriminate against you because you're pregnant. That means you tell the employer that you're pregnant and then he says, oh no, I don't want somebody pregnant working here. You're fired. You're just going to go on maternity leave. That is pregnancy discrimination. If you have pregnancy complications and you ask for reasonable accommodations and your employer says, no, I'm not accommodating you. I mean, I could, but I'm just going to get somebody else to work here that's not pregnant. I don't want to accommodate your disabilities. If you can't do the job, then you get out. That can also be pregnancy discrimination. So if some of this stuff sounds familiar, this is happening to you, or similar things are happening to you in your workplace after you've notified your employer that you're pregnant, you might want to seek some legal counsel, because being terminated while you're pregnant, being terminated at any time is horrible, but many employers will take advantage and ignore the law and engage in this type of discrimination. It's not right, and you definitely have rights to protect yourself. If it does happen to you, you can take action. You may potentially have a wrongful termination case where you can assert pregnancy discrimination, possibly disability discrimination, and possibly even gender discrimination. If your employer is targeting you as a woman, you could also have a claim for gender discrimination as well. So that's a lot of information to take in. I hope it was helpful. But like I said, this is videos for informational purposes. I tried to provide enough information to provide you with a place to start as to what you may need to do next. But if you feel like you need more, make sure you seek out a qualified employment attorney to help you navigate the process.